So you ready to go ahead and get into it?
Yes.
Okay. So you had your high school girls senior showcase here Sunday. That was the second showcase for the girls you've done in a couple months. You had a underclassmen event for girls from 4 states a few weeks ago, and then of course you had the boys last week. So you've had college coaches in here watching local players steadily here throughout the fall. I put something up on Bball about Jaden Hamilton of Laney, Lexi Jeffcoat of Evans, and Jessica Williams of Laney. You had a couple more that I missed. I wasn't there for the whole day. I missed that you thought played really well and you want to talk about. So you do that.
Yes. One of the kids, Crystal Corley out of Baldwin, we'll see several times playing against teams in region play with
4A.
4A with Burke County, Hepzibah, Cross Creek, and those teams. She really played well. Schools from the Peach Belt Conference liked her. She has athleticism. She can do a lot of things on the floor. Had a really good day on Sunday. Quindasia Hamilton of Burke County played well, shot the lights out of the ball, and I think she can help a lot of teams in that Peach Belt Conference as well. The way she shoots the ball, her quickness, the way she can get into ball handlers with her full court pressure and stuff like that. But I think the most intriguing of the girls from the area was Jessica Williams of Laney. With her length and the way she rebounds the ball, pushing up the floor, she really shows she can do a lot of things. And the thing I think she does best is shoot the ball from deep is what she struggled in Sunday. But and just talking to coaches after the event, they was like, "Oh man, she did a lot of good things." I really wish that she had shot the ball better. And I told her, you don't have to worry about that. That's one thing she can do. That's definitely one of her strengths. And so her phone should be ringing a lot here in the next coming days.
Yeah, she's a good player. I've always been a big fan of Jessica Williams. Now, you mentioned Quindasia Hamilton. It was on Twitter yesterday that the Charleston Southern coach, either head coach or assistant coach, you'll probably tell me, was at the Burke County workout yesterday. They've got a transfer, Keani Westbrook, a 6'2" center that transferred from Cross Creek, a 4A semifinalist last year. We talked last week about Laney and North Augusta likely going undefeated and repeating as state champions. That's my prediction. Last Friday on the show, okay, we're still on. My phone rang in the middle of this thing. All right, so North Augusta, Laney. In the past, it's been Grovetown and Cross Creek after those two teams. Who's going to be the third best team in the area this year? Will it be Burke County, or will it be? I know you're excited about a transfer at Greenbrier, and Savannah Giles from Grovetown impressed you Sunday. So who's going to be the third best team?
Greenbrier is really big. They have a transfer from Alaska, a transfer from Tennessee, 6'1", 6'3".
They've got a new coach, too.
New coach, Brandon Dotson, really passionate about the game. Has really been working the kids hard. Our question marks right now is at the point guard position. They'll probably start. I say we because my daughter's on the team, and I feel like I'm a part of it. Yeah. But we'll start a junior and Ellie Grandin that has seen a lot of time in last year as a sophomore, but it'd be up to her.
Is Greenbrier going to be the third best team, or is Burke County? That's kind of who I'm wondering about.
I would say right now Burke County because of the experience. The guard play of Quindasia Hamilton, the versatility of Keani Westbrook. She can at the high school level, she can really impact the game on both sides, of defense and offense. And she's a kid that can be as good as she wants to.
She's getting a lot of attention from college coaches.
A lot of attention. Currently ranked the 21st best forward in the country in her class. Minnesota has been interested. Charleston Southern's head coach Fred Applin was in yesterday to watch her work out. She's going to play. The girls have that last live period in the fall this coming weekend.
Yeah. And you're taking a group, the Georgia State, to what, Atlanta?
To Atlanta, Lake Point, and she'll be a part of that group. So if she can continue, to play the way she's played in this last month, she has a chance to really, 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 get her name out there amongst the college coaches.
Well, we had a reader question. We'll go to that now, and it's about girls basketball. And the question was, why does it seem like the local girls players are getting more Division I and II scholarships than the local boys players. For a little background, I talked about Friday how I counted in last year's senior class 6 Division I players in the girls' senior class, 0 for the boys last year, and 3 Division II for the girls, and I think 3 or 4 for the boys. So definitely in the recent past, that's very true. First of all, do you think that general statement is true, and then why do you think it is?
Well, it's a fact. That's what's been happening in our area the past couple of years.
How long do you think? A couple of years.
Yeah, the past couple of years. It comes down to exposure. I would say, you have to make sure you're getting the right exposure. Exposure is not just playing in, if you're playing in, let's say, I go way back with this guy, let's say a Bob Givens tournament, okay? You're playing in a Bob Givens tournament and you're not in the right bracket playing against the right kids, so you're in that tournament, you're not playing in front of any coaches, that's really like not being at the tournament. I think, and I can speak on the girls because I'm heavily involved in it. I think the thing that, we've been able to do is get the kids in front of coaches more all the time and really, contact and build relationships with coaches, whether we're getting them to come in here to see them or making sure they're at our games and making sure that, we have a good relationship with these event operators, these guys who are putting on these events to make sure we're getting the tough opponents and playing against the right team. So every time we take the court, we're playing in front of, 40 to 50 coaches.
Yeah, I'll respond to that. I agree. When it comes to playing at the right place, everybody, an AAU coach, after you did your boys event last week, told me that he's been coaching for, 6-7 years on the AAU circuit. This is a boys coach. And he said even though he's been at tournaments that are live period evaluation tournaments, he said, and I believe him, that he's never had his kids play in front of a coach. But last Saturday, there were 3 or 4 of them sitting over there on the side, and that's at the Fall 48 invite. And there'll be more in the future. I think that is not well understood that, getting 3 or 4 coaches here 3 times here this fall, and then several other coaches I know who direct message me and text me, and I'm sure you get the same direct messages and texts from coaches who aren't here who see the stuff online and all that. That's a great start, and with the girls, it's a great continuation of what you've been doing. With the boys, it's a great start. So make no mistake, just here in the fall, there's been a lot of progress with that. The other thing I'd say is, in addition to you getting your girls with the Georgia Sting, and there's other girls AAU organizations like Jasmine Robinson and Destiny Marshall didn't go through your program. They're both Division I players. I think the Mayo twins didn't go through the Georgia Sting program. They're both Division I players from last year. But back to the point, in addition to you guys getting them in front of the right coaches, you also teach them how to play. You teach the girls how to play. Daisha Benjamin, Elena Davis, these Aubriana Bonner from Laney made huge strides when she came into your little circle of influence, and so get in front of the coaches, play the right competition, but also know how to play. Really learn how to play.
That's right, and our thing here is we always develop the kids for the next level. We want our kids when they're going to college, we want them to be ready to play. As you saw with Quasin Farrar jumps in, she gets freshman of the year in the Peach Belt. She was ready to play, and Quasin looked better as a college player than she did as a high school
Grovetown High School.
That's right. Yeah. And that's what we do. We really when I first started, I was coming in here and teaching a whole lot of plays, and the game is different. It was my first time on the girls' side, and once we started simplifying things and just teaching the girls to read situations, to exploit mismatch scenarios and things like that, and let their instincts take over, we became, a much better team. And the girls, started to understand what they could and what they couldn't do on the court. And they would always play to their strength. And the weaknesses we would continue to work on when we have time to get in the gym.
The girls are. You talked about this being a couple-year phenomenon. The girls are off to another good start when it comes to signing with colleges. Daisha Benjamin committing to Alabama, Amari Young committing to ODU. Sarah Cruz from North Augusta committing to Lander, a Peach Belt Division II powerhouse. Now, the boys, on the other hand, in their defense, I would say that last year could be considered a down year. This year's yet to be seen. But 2 years ago, you had Zepp Jasper, Christian Keeling, Division I players, San Antonio Brinson out of Thomson going to NJIT, a Division I, and what's his name? I'm sorry, Madison Roberts going to Illinois State. So we're not that far removed from a good crop of boys coming out, and we'll see if Trey Gamillion, Timmy Sellers, Anthony Ray, some of these guys can continue that progress this year. Now, let's go to college football. A little while ago, we saw Shane Pangle chime in. And, I just think of him, and I shouldn't think of him when I think of Clemson, because he's a Bulldog. He's a Georgia Bulldog, and we're going to talk about the Bulldogs.
We thought anyway.
But he's a particular fan of Dabo Swinney, and who isn't? What a great coach and great guy. So anyway, Clemson dominated Louisville. We predicted that Lamar Jackson would run all over the Tigers. The Tigers are for real. Here's the thing. It's kind of, now that we look at it, it's kind of unfair that they're not the number one team in the nation. They won it last year. They've been dominant this year, beat 2 top 15 teams in the first 3 weeks in dominant fashion. The question mark, Kelly Bryant, Deshaun Watson tweeted over the weekend that he'll be better than Deshaun Watson. I'm sure he's just being supportive there. Talk about the Tigers.
I mean, I think, like you said, the biggest question mark was, could Kelly Bryant go on the road in this atmosphere in a primetime game and play well? Not only did he play well, he outplayed the Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson.
316 yards passing and a touchdown.
It was phenomenal. I mean, he was great. And that defense they're tough. And I think, with Florida State losing the quarterback, and their defense is good as well. But I just think Kelly Bryant and Clemson defense, and I think this year they get Florida State at home.
Yeah.
And I think they win the ACC. And do we get a round 3 of Clemson and Alabama? But, we say those two teams right there. But in my opinion, I think Oklahoma has had the most impressive win thus far, going to Ohio State and just crushing them.
Yeah.
I mean, and the way Baker Mayfield is playing right now, he has to be the front runner for the Heisman. I mean, I wonder what Christian Tubb from Thompson's thinking. I heard Ohio State had him there that weekend.
Okay.
Of this game.
He's
a great player. Yeah. But, so Oklahoma is right there in that mix, too, so.
And Oklahoma State.
And Oklahoma State is playing well, and those two will play each other, so only one of them,
The iron will sharpen iron there. One of the dynamics I've seen people talk about is where Clemson is kind of a one-team show in the ACC. Of course, they'll be tested by Virginia Tech and Florida State, but people expect them to roll. People expect Alabama to roll through the SEC. We'll talk about the Bulldogs in a second. But over in the Big 12, for instance, you've got 2 powerhouses. You mentioned Baker Mayfield, also Mason Rudolph at Oklahoma State. So college football is exciting. I know you're an NFL guy. I like the college football. And speaking of college football, and Shane chimed in, go Tigers and go Dogs. And so amen on that. And the Bulldogs, a lot of excitement with the Georgia Bulldogs. Hosting the Mississippi State Bulldogs this weekend, number 11 Georgia versus number 17 Mississippi State. It's go time for Georgia. Had a great emotional victory at Notre Dame. Beat a couple cupcakes on either side of that. And now they get a top 20 matchup at home, 7 o'clock on ESPN Saturday. That Georgia defense, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a diehard Georgia fan. And he's, after the Notre Dame game, kind of complaining about the offensive line and maybe, it's tough to play with a freshman quarterback 2 years in a row. But when Kirby Smart came into Georgia 2 seasons ago, if you would have said, here's a guy coming from the Alabama defense, and inside of 1.5 seasons, he's going to have what looks like a dominant defense with athletes just flying all over the place. You can't ask for anything more than that in that short amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, and I think this will be a low-scoring ball game. Both defenses are playing extremely well right now. You look at Mississippi State, I think, is leading the conference at holding opponents to less than 3 yards of play. They held LSU's guy was Jermaine Guys to 76 yards rushing.
Right.
So they're ready against, and they have this dual threat quarterback. I'm not going to say he's Dak Prescott, but he played really well against LSU. So
Nick Fitzgerald,
exactly.
Yeah. Now and you mentioned LSU 37-7. At home, beat at the time number 12. Nobody thought Mississippi State was going to be a factor, and that put them on the map. Now they're a top 20 team. Nick Fitzgerald played at Richmond Hill High School in Georgia and was passed over by the Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay, so two Georgia guys going at it.
Exactly. In Richmond Hill, by the way, they beat up on Grovetown last week, and they'll be playing Lakeside in a couple weeks. So yeah, that's going to be fun. So, one thing what really got me into Georgia football, following it closely recently, is actually a couple basketball guys playing on that team. Lorenzo Carter, Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks ago with a big showing against Notre Dame. 6'6", tight end. I remember him as a power forward at Norcross High School, and he recovered a couple fumbles, had a sack, and then in the secondary playing major minutes early with a guy a veteran out hurt, is Richard LeCount, one of my all-time favorite basketball players, but he's really a football player. Safety, played at Liberty County. You've seen Richard play basketball.
Yes.
The guy was awesome.
Yes, love watching him play.
Yeah.
Backcourt with Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
At Auburn.
Yeah. Davion Mitchell is one of my favorite as well, and he was kind of like almost a McDonald's All-American. And I swear I enjoyed watching Richard play more than Davion Mitchell, even though I love Mitchell. So that's what really got me into the Bulldogs football. And now, I mean, they look the part. If they can get those quarterbacks, healthy and comfortable and all that, they really look the part. All right, so let's go. Let's do high school football. Some of the storylines. I'm going to see North Augusta host. I think they're hosting, but yeah, they're playing Strom Thurmond. Rematch of last season's 41-38 Yellow Jackets victory over the Rebels in triple overtime. North Augusta looks dominant this season. They just beat White Knoll at White Knoll 42-14. My cousin Peach just said Carter's a beast, Lorenzo Carter. That's right. I agree, Peach. All right, so North Augusta, 42-14 over White Knoll. White Knoll beat South Aiken already this season. That's North Augusta's main competition in region play. South Aiken, runner-up in state last year. I think, I'm no expert, I'm learning more and more as we go, but I think North Augusta, their reputation. Yeah. And South Aiken's kind of a more recent emerging power. I think they probably had a lot to prove this season, and they wanted to prove it. And so with South Aiken going down to White Knoll and North Augusta putting a whooping on White Knoll, I think that's part one. I think they're going to be up for this game against Strom Thurmond. North Augusta has an exciting crew, starting with DeJuan Bell on the outside. He had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions a couple weeks ago. Little guy, plays basketball too. Just Ashley Brown called him the fastest player in town. I agree 100%. Landon Washington throwing the ball. They open it up. They throw it around. I guess along with Thomson and Burke County, North Augusta's got to be, the best team in the area.
Roy Peak says the championship goes to Tuscaloosa. We're going to see about that, Roy.
Like last season? No, actually not like last season. No, I'm kidding, Roy. One thing you can't do is talk a lot of trash about Alabama, right? Yeah, I mean, they're pretty proven. Yeah. All right, so that's that. Now, Evans goes to Baldwin this weekend on the heels of a 49-48 loss in overtime at Waco last week. That Baldwin team is much improved. They're 3-1. Their one loss came last Friday. They lost 21-16 to Griffin, the number 7 team in 5A. I think Baldwin's for real. They've got Jatavius Harris, a wide receiver who's committed at Tennessee, and then a couple basketball players, one of them throwing him the ball, and Torres Hicks, and one of them in the defensive secondary, who is as good a basketball player as we see during the season almost, and that's Dante Justice. So they're going to host Evans. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Baldwin might scare Thomson or Burke County later on in the season. That's a bold prediction, right?
That would be interesting. I mean, if you could get them, That'd be interesting.
Yeah. And they're coming to Burke County October 13th, and then I think Thomson goes to Baldwin October 20th, and then October 27th, Thomson plays Burke County, and you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Can't wait for that. But Evans, Evans is emerging. I've been watching Greenbrier the last 2 weeks. They put a whipping on Richmond, put a whipping on Harlem as well. Harlem opened up region play with a big win over Glen Hills. They look like they're probably going to get third in the region to Screven County and Jefferson County. So Evans, Greenbrier, Harlem, all showing good signs early from Columbia County. You've got Lakeside and Grovetown taking a lot of losses early because they're playing extremely good competition. So we don't know what we have with them. But the question that I have from a reader that I want us to try to address is, how come the Columbia County teams and the Richmond County teams are I would say, a good level below Jefferson County, Screven County, Thomson, Burke County, and two of the teams, at least from Aiken County, North Augusta and South Aiken? What's the deal there?
Well, I would think it's mainly because you have, in those counties, you have every kid in that town going to that one school. You know, the talent is not divided. Mm-hmm. And, they put their emphasis on football because, football, they're probably selling out every game. You know, that's the way, they fund a lot of things probably. So they have more resources, I think, when it comes to that, when it comes to those things.
So maybe when it comes to like the Board of Education, it doesn't have to serve all these different schools, yes. And it's a unified front. That's as right. far as basically the money. You were out at Burke County.
A great facility. The weight room and the basketball gym, cafeteria, 2 film rooms. A great facility they just built there. And if you look at both counties, Columbia and Richmond County, I don't know that we have the resources to do that at any school. Where all that money is being pumped into one school. I mean, Burke County, if you play a sport, they feed you 3 times a day. They have a bus to take you home
after practice.
After practice,
and that's any sport.
Yes, any sport. Yeah. I mean, so it just the funds all go to one school to have more resources, and it helps. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to dig a little more on that and see if that's the end of it, because I think about a couple things. I think about Jake Fromm's a quarterback at Georgia, and he played at Houston County and used to play in the region with some of our local teams. And so out in Houston County, you've got Houston County, Northside, you've got Warner Robins. All of those are good programs, and they're all a part of the Houston County school system. So I wonder, does that where's the breakdown there? They have many schools that they can feed, and in their elite football programs. I also think about North Augusta being a powerhouse, and they're part of the Aiken County school system. And now all of a sudden, with a new coach and a new attitude at South Aiken, they're a powerhouse. So you can step in and make a difference. One of the things that made me think. One of the things I thought about when thinking about this question is Ashley Brown, who does all kinds of stuff with football, but one of the things is a lot of activity on Facebook. And when I brought up Evans playing Baldwin, he brought up a matchup in the 80s between Evans and Baldwin that was so, it was memorable. And Evans used to be really good back in those days. Really good. Now, maybe that was because Lakeside didn't exist, Greenbrier didn't exist, Grovetown didn't exist, but Harlem existed. So you wonder, why can't an Evans be a powerhouse again? And then John Barnett, a former Thomson coach, who does a great radio hour on Thursday nights, he chimed in and started talking about old time football, and he just mentioned how a certain year when Thomson couldn't beat Westside.
And that's what I was going to say.
When would we say that today? But go ahead.
And I'm going to go back and say I think winning solves everything. Because back when I was a kid growing up, and Westside was strong. Everybody would look forward to the Westside and Thomson game, and they were really good. And it was a lot of fan support. They didn't even have a stadium. Yeah. They would play the games at ARC, and it was packed, all the time. And I think if you win, you generate more interest, and I think with that, you're able to, to make more money and do more things, for your sports program.
Well, Buck Harris just joined in, and he's a good example of that on the basketball side at Baldwin. He also told me that the Baldwin football coach, new for this year, coached there many years ago, has put in a lot of things to kind of turn that program around. So I agree. Now, but we might ask, like, when is it going to come back? Now, Laney, on the other hand, very much down this year, but they've had some good football teams in the past. Just saw that.
I mean, just think about some of the good teams in this area. Coach Lackey at Avery, they're good. Was at Laney. Coach Parker at Burke County was at Laney.
Right.
Those are guys that turn that program around with this same talent that's coming through there. So I just think it takes time.
Yeah. So do you think Evans, Greenbrier? Do you think that, and maybe Lakeside and Grovetown, like I said, they're an unknown quantity right now because they're playing such tough competition, whereas Evans and Greenbrier are, to a certain extent, Evans has played some tough teams, but they're also, those two teams have gotten some wins and look good at times, but against lower classifications. Can they get a win in the state playoffs at some point?
I think it's all about momentum. I think if you're playing well at that time, you just carry that momentum. If you're, the quarterback and the wide receiver are on the same page, the offensive line is in sync. And I think it's all about momentum, And at times, now if you're the 4 seed versus the 1 seed in football, you're probably overmatched.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a difficult task. But if you can, come out the top 2 teams in the region, if they're playing great at the time, they have a chance to get a win, especially one with that particularly being a home game.
Yeah. So they'll be getting tested soon, and I mentioned Harlem earlier. They've got their tests coming up. They beat Glen Hills. They'll probably beat up on Butler this weekend, and then they go to Screven County, and then they play Jefferson County after that. So that'll be rough. But Harlem's exciting. They've got a really exciting freshman, Cameron Garnett.
400 yards rushing?
Between the two of them, a freshman and a junior.
It's big time.
Ashley Brown was calling them Thunder and Lightning. You've got the big freshman, the fast junior, Cameron Garnett, A.J. Brown, some really good linemen. That's a fun group. Hopefully they can maybe they could scare a team like Screven or Jefferson County, but that will be tough. All right, well, that's kind of, we've sped through it. Do you want to, a funny thing that happened yesterday was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I have to say Kevin Durant is a sensitive fella. And, you got a guy who's maybe the best player on earth right now in basketball, surely makes tens and tens and tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And but he seems to really not like it when people take him to task for leaving the OKC Thunder for the team that beat him in the Western Conference Finals 2 seasons ago, went and became the MVP. But he's going back and forth on Twitter with people who are criticizing him and doing it from a secret account, accidentally does it from his own account, says the reason, supposedly here he's talking not as himself, in a disguise, and he says maybe the reason he left, being Kevin Durant, maybe the reason Kevin Durant left was because he didn't like the organization, he didn't like the coach, Billy Donovan, and besides Russ, they didn't have any good players. And then he came back with, have you seen them play without Russ? Nobody's going to win a championship with those cats. That's funny, right?
Yeah, you just can't do that, man. You just can't do that. Yeah,
a fake Twitter.
That's crazy. But Kevin Durant needs to just let that be in the past and just move forward with this team, Golden State, and you just got to let it go.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what he needs to do, he can do whatever he wants, right? Because nobody can stop him on that court. Exactly. Nobody. They might be able to stop him online, and, make him look bad on Twitter, but they can't. Nobody can stop him on that court.
That finals he had was unbelievable. Let us. That's the Kevin Durant. When I hear his name, I want to think about what he did. Not,
of course,
this craziness on Twitter.
I remember, obviously the pull-up 3 in Game 3 when it looked like it was going to be 2-1, and he just moseys down the court and pulls it right in front of LeBron James and just puts a dagger in Cleveland.
Just a great player making a bad shot.
That's a bad shot, pull-up?
That's a bad shot. I mean, but great players have to make and take bad shots.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if he misses the shot, everybody criticizes, you just get a rebound, you go and shoot a pull-up 3 that late in the game. But, That's why he's great.
Speaking of criticism, if he missed it, then what's his name? Skip Bayless would have to get off LeBron and get onto him. Now, the other one, and this was in the middle of a game, but it just sticks in my mind, was I remember, I think it was Game 4, or it was a deciding game, Game 5, when he caught it up at the top of past the top of the key, and he's just, guys in his space, and he does one of those rip throughs over the guy's head, and then he shoots it. And he's about 25 feet out, 6'11" guy. I mean, what are you going to do when a guy has the ball above your head, and then he just shoots it? So, so forget the Twitter stuff. The guy is an unbelievable player, and NBA's coming around the corner.
It is, and
can the Celtics beat the Cavs?
No, they don't have enough. But when I look at that trade, I think Danny Ainge was preparing for one or two things. When LeBron leaves the conference,
right,
or as LeBron gets older, he's building a young group that's ready to dominate the East. So he's guaranteeing himself, in the years to come, several trips to the finals, in a row. Because I don't think anybody in the East is close to Boston. I think Cleveland is still the team to beat in the East, and I think they'll win the East. But what happens at the end of this year if LeBron decides to leave? Now the Celtics become the favorite, or if he stays and 3-4 years down the road, he starts to age and he doesn't have that guy to kind of, prolong him and that he can go to like he had with Kyrie, the Celtics take over the East.
Last year, I would say the Celtics had a 0% chance of beating the Cavs, even though they won the regular season and had home court. You agree with that?
I would agree.
Last year,
100%,
What's this year? If last year was 0, this year's not 0, right? With Kyrie and Gordon Hayward.
But you lose your best defender over to Cleveland.
But is it still 0?
I think it goes 4-1. Because now you have the best player on the planet in LeBron. You have him motivated.
Yeah.
Because of this Kyrie deal, and that's the scary thing. To have this guy motivated, and I think he goes in every night to put him away. And Kyrie's a great player, but I just don't think Boston. They're banking on these guys getting better in the future. They're just not there. Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, all these guys, the awesome wing tandem with Brown and Tatum. They're young guys, and they're not seasoned for this type of basketball yet.
I think the Celtics have a chance. Maybe I'd put it at like 30%.
So what do you think the series is going to be in the Eastern Conference Final? What are you saying?
Well, it's those two teams, obviously. But
sure.
But I guess I'd say it'll go 6. But I do believe that they have a chance. I'm just such a believer in putting the ball in the basket. Such a big deal. And Kyrie Irving just does it better than anybody on earth. Maybe.
I tell you what, if Derrick Rose can stay healthy, this Derrick Rose Kyrie thing in the Eastern Conference Finals could be pretty good.
Really?
I think this matchup will
See,
be
I have him
good.
as washed up. He's not washed up.
I think if D Rose can stay healthy, I think he has a little left in the tank. If you could, he's not going to have to play so many minutes, especially if and when Isaiah Thomas get back. And if you keep him fresh, this guy just can. He's so explosive. He's not as explosive as he once was, but I still think he's a guy, that can get into the lane.
Might bully him around a little bit, bully Kyrie around.
Just make it tough for him. He's not going to be able to guard Kyrie, but I think that's going to be great entertainment. Two guys really going at it like that.
Yeah. So
this guy was the MVP of the league.
Right. He was. Yeah. I'm a big believer in Kyrie Irving, and then also Brad Stevens. He gets a lot out of what he has, especially on the defensive side. So everybody always talks about Irving can't defend. I think on that team, they'll either hide him or make him defend or something. And I think the Celtics have a chance.
He's definitely going to put Kyrie in a situation where he's successful. And, I think Kyrie's going to have an unbelievable year. And I wouldn't put it past that he leads the league in scoring.
Oh, yeah. So now this is all about the East because we know what's going to happen in the West. Although the Rockets should be exciting, the Thunder should be exciting, and I want to say there's
but this is
well,
my
the
thing.
Spurs are always exciting.
This is my thing with the Rockets. You have two guys in the backcourt together that normally dominate the basketball.
Yeah.
What happens there?
I know, but I think the way the NBA is played now with guys, especially with what's the coach? Mike
D'Antoni.
D'Antoni. Yeah, they're just running around. The ball's always moving, bodies are always moving, and I think like it used to be, you would ISO and everybody would stand around, and so rest was built into the game. Now everybody's always moving and exerting energy, and I think playing on the defensive end, even though some people say they don't play D in the NBA, which I think is crazy. And so with all that running around, teams need 2 scores. The super teams, they have 3 and 4 scores. So I think it's okay to if the Warriors, I know the Warriors have a special way they play, and it can't be instantly duplicated. But if the Warriors can have two alphas or whatever they call it, why not the Rockets?
But the Warriors are a great passing team, and everything's predicated on
Chris Paul's a great passer.
Great passer, but if you take James Harden had the best year of his career playing point guard,
right?
Where he, if you take it, and I watch Chris Paul play a lot, that 24-second shot clock. Now, part of this could be he doesn't have another guy that can really create plays on his team, but sometimes he has that ball in his hand 18 out of the 24 seconds.
Right.
And then he makes a play,
I think because he had to, though.
Because he had to?
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. And you know more than me, for sure. So I think I'm hearing you say that maybe the Spurs are still the second best team in the West.
Without a doubt. I mean,
is Kawhi Leonard your favorite player?
He's not my favorite player, but he is a really good player.
He's so awesome.
And I love him. I think he's 2 or 3, in the world.
You gotta love that guy.
And look, I was big on, I was big on if, Kawhi Leonard stayed, that Golden State series, I don't know what happens there. I mean, he was dominating that series.
Yeah. Well, that game.
Yeah, that game. I'm sorry, that game. He was dominating that game, and they clearly were going to win game 1
for sure.
Who knows what would happen with what he had.
Yeah. And they don't have anything more, but I mean, they were the second best team in the West with what he had.
But didn't they sign Rudy Gay?
Yeah, you're right.
They got Rudy Gay. Right. I know he's coming off that Achilles, but
he can score.
He can score the ball.
And that's what they lack.
And he's, if he's a 20 points per game scorer.
Yeah.
If you get that to go, I mean, they could be scary. I know Tony Parker is injured, but Patty Miller's pretty good. Yeah.
What's more likely? The Celtics being able to beat the Cavs to get out of the East, or anybody, Cleveland included, Spurs included, Rockets included, Thunder included, being able to knock off the champs, the Warriors.
I think we have a better chance, somebody else, the Spurs, say getting the Warriors.
Being the Warriors,
then we have the Celtics beating Cleveland.
Wow.
I mean,
I'll go the other way on that.
I just, Pop, Pop can game plan. He's going to have those guys right there.
Okay.
I'm going back to game 1. I was really impressed, and I would have loved to have seen what happened. With a healthy Kawhi Leonard, and Pop going through that whole series. With his top guys. Not just that took a lot out of that team. Losing your leader like that.
Took everything out.
Yeah,
they were done. Yeah, they were done. Well, I can't wait for. I mean, this turned into an NBA show.
I think
it shows where our minds are. Yeah. But I can't wait for opening night, man. Cleveland and Boston, all that animosity, true animosity between Kyrie Irving and LeBron
I'm
James.
predicting the score would be like 120 to 115.
Okay.
A lot of scoring going on.
Not a lot to do that night. Opening night. The cameras are on.
This is flowing. Yeah. It's going to be good.
And then, let's see what Shane had to say. Oh, yeah. Shane's right. I picked Richmond last week over Greenbrier. And I went to that game, and Greenbrier dominated.
That was pretty easy. That was pretty easy.
Pure domination. Greenbrier, I believe in that team. This is the Tony Kramer's second year as a coach. And they, with what you can control as a coach and players, preparation, execution, discipline, are you ready to play, all that, they get A+ from me in all those categories. They don't turn the ball over. They, they don't miss assignments. They don't have, costly penalties. Everybody talks about J.Q. Brown, and he's a good very good runner, like a great runner. He's got 13 touchdowns in 4 games, but that line does work, and he runs behind that line, and he keeps his legs moving and everything. But he gets about a 5-6 yard head start on every run, and they don't make mistakes. Like I said, they made Richmond, on the other hand, turn the ball over 3 times in the first half, capitalized every time. Then with a 13-0 lead, which became a 20 and a 27-0 lead in the second half, they kept the ball. Greenbrier had the ball the entire second half, it seemed like, and it just running. And I think Evans, you got J.Q. Brown with 13 touchdowns. You've got over at Evans, Corey Watkins, and Demekus Brown. What's Demekus' last name? Taylor, the quarterback, combining for 6 touchdowns last week. Taylor had 6 touchdowns himself against Laney and 3 against North Augusta. Exciting players there. We talked about A.J. Brown and Cameron Garnett at Harlem. Exciting players there. And then, when you get to Jefferson County, Screven County, North Augusta, guys just lighting it up. So I guess I said college football earlier. I like, actually, high school.
Just like football.
High school, college, then pro. That's how I line it up. I go up, down to up. And I'm the same way in basketball, actually.
Yeah.
All right, you got anything else?
That's it, man.
Let's see if anybody else here had anything to say. Anthony Sweat said the Spurs may have won if he didn't go down. That's what you and Will believe, Anthony. I don't believe anybody can beat the Warriors.
Anthony had a chance, man. Spurs had a chance.
Lord knows I'd like for somebody to beat the Warriors, but I just don't see it happening. I love Uncle Drew. Me too, Anthony. Me too. Will Gold said the Wizards in the East. I can't get with that. I love John Wall, but I can't get with that.
They didn't do anything to get better. What did they do to get better?
Now, so Roy Peak asked, what do I think of the D-League? We'll talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
I love the D-League. That's what I mean about you guys, you and Roy and Renwick Lee and these guys, teaching people how to play. You've been teaching the girls for a few years now. We see the results. And then starting last year, you're always teaching the boys, but methodically, it's starting last year, going through this year, teaching these young boys how to play 5th through 8th grade. I've been helping out a little bit so I can speak to how it's gone. For 4 weeks, I think, before the first game, you got together for 2 hours every Saturday or Sunday and did fundamentals, passing, catching, shooting, pivoting, footwork, finishing with both hands. Tyrone Brown's another guy who helps out, does a great job. Coach Harden.
East Georgia Panthers organization, great organization.
They teach people how to play too.
Yes.
Rich Cook.
Yes.
Great people that help you out. So you prepared them for weeks and weeks. And then now that games have started on Saturday mornings, you still go for an hour and a half every Thursday night. And what you'll see in here is you'll see 40 guys working on the fundamentals of the game and then mixing in gameplay. You make them play man-to-man. You make them act right and be good sports and treat each other well. You pick a player of the game every game. You give their statistics. You take their picture. You put them online. Roy said before the season that league is the thing that he's enjoyed the most over the past few years. You tell me.
And I would agree. It's definitely fun because you get to teach the game. And that's what we love to do. We love to come here and teach the game. Kids, the young kids have a lot of energy, so teach them how to do things the right way, and they do it with so much effort, and you see it on Saturdays. The kids come here and they just get better from one Saturday to the next. The most impressive thing this year, as opposed to last year, is how much better and how much more competitive the girls are with the boys. Co-ed league and the girls. I mean, the girls have been just great, and we got some very athletic boys. But Roy was talking about this last Saturday. At this age, physically the girls can compete
for sure.
At this age range.
Well, I think after seeing this, I'm totally convinced that a girl that really likes to play and she's skilled and she wants to be the best she can be, for sure, all the way through middle school, she should play with the boys. I mean, play with the girls too.
Yeah.
But as much as you can, go play with the boys, play in leagues with the boys, play pickup with the boys, and then I think the good high school girls should play as much pickup with the boys as possible. Which player has? I know who I'm thinking of, and you just mentioned girls. Which player has impressed you the most in the developmental league so far?
I mean, on the boys' side, it's the young kid. I think he's from Lincoln County, Samaj Story.
Okay.
He had 15 steals.
Oh, wow.
15 steals, 4 assists, 12 points. I'm going to predict at some point during the year he gets a triple-double.
Okay.
He's like the Russell Westbrook of the league. He's everywhere. I know kids hate playing against him.
Right.
He's just running all over the place, but he's only in the 6th grade.
Okay.
He has a chance to.
Do you know where he goes to school?
He's Lincoln County.
Oh, yeah, you said Lincoln County.
So I saw the one out there.
Well, he'll get a lot of opportunities out there because when they get a player, they're like, hey, we got a player.
If they can keep him off the football field, that's going to be hard to do because he's a great athlete. On the girls' side, Sydney Peak, Roy's daughters came a long way. I've been in here in the gym, with Roy when he's working with her. And this last year, man, she's made huge strides. Trinity Barrow in 7th grade at Greenbrier is just. I mean, you played against her.
Yeah, I think she's the best player in the league.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah,
she's fast. And she can dribble and she can shoot.
And it's crazy we talk about this, but I can't wait to see that matchup, Trinity versus Samaj.
Yeah.
That's going to be good stuff. And Trinity was a kid last year for 2 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, she was extremely timid, against the boys.
Okay.
But after that, she got confident a little bit. Now,
I see nothing timid in her now.
She looks great. You're talking about a 7th grade girl. I was in here Sunday morning with Trinity doing an individual workout at 8 a.m.
Wow.
Sunday morning. Sunday morning at 8 a.m. That's how bad she wants it.
And that's what I mean about teaching people how to play. I mean, you do it in a huge setting, and I know you prefer to, and I totally agree with that. Get 40 kids in here, get them working, and make the most out of your time. But then when they want that extra special attention, you give it to them too.
Yeah, and we have our weekly training Monday through Wednesday that kids can sign up for, and it's the same kids as in the D League and a couple high school kids. But I just laughed yesterday because I'm using terminology like cross screen, the screener, and drills, and UCLA and zipper cuts. Right. I'm talking to 11 and 12-year-olds.
I still don't know what zipper cuts. I guess I do. It's
zipper screen, yeah. And just, I think it's a great thing that these kids pick that stuff up and we get to teach the game every day.
Yeah. We got to get, D League. You said D League. And the NBA's calling their developmental league. The G League for Gatorade. We got to get a sponsor for the D League. Because, in sponsors, you should think about this because what you have is boys and girls, wholesome, learning the game, gathering in big groups, families, filling the stands to watch. It's something a sponsor would be proud to put their brand on the front of. Same thing with your showcases.
Yes.
You've got it's a very heavily local based, 40, 50, 60 kids at a time, their families, college coaches, volunteers. You've got an unbelievable volunteer corps, 8 to 12 guys who all know the game, who spend a lot of time with the game. So, we need to get these activities sponsored. And I'm going to see if we have any more comments here. Anthony Sweat said, Trinity is the truth. I totally agree. What's up, Darren Douglas? Glad you joined us. And Lance Lawrence said, thank you, Will. You're the best. I agree, Lance. He's the best. Anything before we go?
That's it.
When are we going to do it again?
After this weekend's games.
Or maybe Friday morning. But yeah, I see what you mean. And when basketball comes, game day morning and day after game day morning, right?
Sounds good to me.
Got to do that. Or maybe not morning, but we'll preview the games and we'll review the games.
Definitely.
Got to do it. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. Share, I guess you say. Share it.
Like, share,
Yeah. Thanks.